Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's live trading session and scalping session. My name is Dirk Hartig. I'm the head of trading education here at PrimeXBT.com. I'm also, probably what you could call a seasoned trader. Have been active on the markets for, this is actually my 25th year. Yeah, 25 years already. Probably longer than some of you guys that are currently watching are old. And today we want to do something very special. We normally in this live streams try to focus on like one topic and talk about the topic, for example, on our live streams that we did for the release of economic data, for example. And if you've been watching my videos a little while, I'm normally more of a mid to long-term investor. This is where I feel comfortable. I'm usually not so much indulging in the daily ups and downs of the markets. However, I thought, I haven't done this for a while, haven't been scalping and day trading for a while. So I wanted to take my sweet time really today, do some live trading with you. So everything you're going to see here today is really live and done as executed. And I'm going to use here my scalping board, I call that. So I'm going to concentrate today on 1 minute charts. I'm going to use my so-called sniper signal generator. If you don't know what the sniper signal generator is, it's basically my trading system that I normally use for more swing trades. It's basically whenever there's an arrow appearing here. So, for example, we had some here in Bitcoin buy and sell arrows this morning already. Then I'm using that as a means to draw my attention to that chart. Doesn't always mean that I want to take the trade then immediately, but like that I know, like, okay, there's something going on currently in the chart, maybe something trade. As I said, normally I use this on longer term charts. You can, by the way, this is normally done on hourly charts. If you want to receive those signals, by the way, those insights, as I call them, in the description of this video, you will find a link where you can access those. So you can get those for completely free over Telegram. So it's done transported by the means of a Telegram bot, but don't worry, you're not going to get spammed or with advertisement or anything. And before we start today, of course, we need to get our account ready, right? So what we want to do here is, let's see, I'm going to use TIFA US dollar today. So first and foremost, I want to, because, we are scalping today, meaning we will try to capitalize on really small movements. So PrimeXBT was so nice in supplying me with a nice promo code that gives us a further 50% discount on the already low trading fees that PrimeXBT has. But I think, if we want to catch swings of like 20, 30, 50 US dollars, for example, in Bitcoin, it's nice to even pay less than that, right? So the promo code is, let's see if I actually am right here, Academy Live, I think. So you enter this here, click on activate, yes. And then you can see I have a fee discount now, 50%. Now, of course, I need to fund my account. Let's say, let's work with 100,000 today, maybe. It doesn't mean I'm going to use the full amount of money and leverage on it, but it's nice to have a little bit of backup money there. All right, good. Then we can already click on trade here. So we have the 50% discount and we have 100K on our account. I'm going to activate here one-click trading, by the way. One-click trading means that so normally when you buy, if you have here regular trading, if you click here, there's this confirmation window and so on and so forth. So I need to click 2 or 3 times. But since we are scalping today the markets, of course, it's important to also be fast in our order execution. So I'm clicking here on one-click trading. If you do this for the first time, might be that a window pops up which warns you, hey, do you know what you're doing? So be warned, don't do like the clickety click. You don't want your orders to be executed like 5 times or something. It happens, And yeah, we are going to wait now for the first signals to appear. I'm watching today, as I said, 1-minute charts. Normally, scalping I would do on 5-minute charts, maybe 15-minute charts for the day. However, we did this before, I think a year ago, on 5-minute charts, and that was like a totally flat day where absolutely no signals were. And I don't want to bore you for the next hour. So hopefully, if we do this on minute charts, we are going to see more signals here. And at the moment, I will be watching Bitcoin US dollar. I will be watching Ethereum US dollar. Euro dollar, so Forex, British pound versus US dollar, S&P 500 and Nasdaq. Although if we get signals there, it might be wiser to trade those in the afternoon, still very early there. Of course, the Americans are still sleeping. Officially, they are still closed. So this is like kind of priced on the S&P 500 and Nasdaq future, of course. The US dollar, pardon me, versus Japanese yen and gold. And we are basically... if I show you this here for Bitcoin, waiting for entry. So this morning, we had already a couple of buy and sell signals, pretty good trades. I didn't take them, though, because I was preparing for today. Said I wanted to start at 10 o'clock. And, I didn't want to start like, oh, look, I did this invest. Everything that is done trading-wise today for the next couple of hours is really live shared with you here. I think that's very important. As always, you have, and I see a lot of you guys are already making use of that. Very good. The opportunity to ask questions. Later on, we will, of course, then, or I will try to answer as many questions as possible. I think we have a sweepstake also. When you ask a question and when you share it on our Discord channel, you can get, I think, what was it, like $25 in trading bonus? And so, some extra money on top of chatting here with me. What is also important, if you want to scalp the markets, is a cup of coffee. So cheers. I'm going with black coffee this morning, and to stay hydrated, of course, some water. So one important thing is at 11 today, we are going to see the release of inflation data for the Eurozone also. So this is going to be interesting. I'm very sure we're going to see some more volatile moves there on euro dollar, everything related to the euro, of course, potentially also on the stock markets, especially if the inflation data comes in better or worse than expected. But it's still 50 minutes away. So we are now waiting here just for the first signals. In the meantime, we can, of course, maybe answer the first questions as a reminder. So how does the whole thing work, maybe? As I said, my so-called sniper signal generator is giving me here the signals to either enter a trade or go short. Where do I exit the trade? It depends. I can exit once we hit here the 100 exponential moving average, which is the blue line here. So I have this on all of them, obviously, as well. Or I can exit, for example, here if my danger zones indicator goes to either bright green or bright red. So if I'm, for example, here long, because of those two signals, those two insights here, I would have probably exited here when this indicator turned bright red. And as you can see, shortly after this, there was a sell signal also, which we probably would have exited here. So those would have been pretty good trades, but I didn't take them, as I said, because I wanted to do everything live. For Forex, it's a bit of a different story. So if we look here for euro US dollar, for example, here the problem is now, because we are on so low time frames, the candles are actually not showing, a lot of volatility. So if we would have gotten, for example, here now a long signal, and we want to exit here at the 100 EMA, we're only talking about like 4 or 5 pips plus the spread, probably something I wouldn't take. So for Forex signals, I really want to wait a little bit for occasions, for signals where the actual price is quite far away from this exponential moving average, to just give myself a chance that my profit is not totally eaten up by the spread or fees, even though we have this 50% discount, of course. Quickly want to check also here for the news coming out. So this is something to go. And guys, of course, I think that goes without saying, please do your own due diligence. Just because I'm doing live trading here does not guarantee that I end the day today with a profit. There are good days, there are bad days, especially when it comes to scalping. So everything you do, please, you always have to make up your own mind. Never just blindly follow somebody. Just take it as something where I want to help you out a little bit. How, I, as somebody who has done this for a very long time, kind of am approaching the markets. And I think this is especially also important for everything risk management wise. So quick look here. Now, what I could do here, of course, also in TradingView, I could set up alarms. So every time a new signal is forming, I get an alarm. I didn't do this because I thought later it's a very volatile day and things go crazy and we are like disturbed by the alarms all the time. In the meantime, since we are waiting now for first signals to, pardon me, still having a little bit of a flu here. Let's see if we have some questions. We have a lot of questions. I see regular viewers also. Chucky is there again. How you doing? A lot of familiar faces. Let's see if we have like some questions here. I mean, all questions are good, but maybe some that are going to help us here. Knight Online is asking, for example, hi Dirk, do you have any indicator you can recommend for scalping for crypto? As I said, I'm using my own custom-made indicator called the Sniper Signal Generator, which is, the essence really of everything I do in short-term trading, which helps me that I don't need to manually scan through charts all the time, but instead have like a system that alerts me. But there are, of course, many thousands, hundreds of thousands of other possibility. It always depends kind of like on what type of trader are you. Are you more of a trend follower? Are you a contrarian? Do you really want to scalp the 1 minute charts, or maybe better the 5 minutes or 50-minute charts, and so on and so forth? So what I'm doing here basically is just, this is my approach. Your approach could be, of course, totally different. Question from Ricardo. Hi, Dirk. The best way to trade is scalping. I don't think, by the way, scalping is the best way to trade. Scalping is a little bit like the Formula One of trading, in my opinion. The competition is very high, and just because you can drive a normal car doesn't mean you can drive a Formula One car. If I sit down in a Formula One car, I probably would crash it. Probably I wouldn't even be able to start it. And if I start it, there's a high chance I crash into the next obstacle there is on the road. So scalping is different, is difficult. If you are completely new to trading, I do not recommend that you start actually with scalping. I would always start working with daily charts. That's very important in my opinion. Quick look here. Something going on? No, everything quiet here at the moment. We're seeing Bitcoin and Ethereum going back to the 100 days moving average. Second part of your question, best moving averages you use. For this, I use this 100 exponential moving, 100 minutes in this case, exponential moving average. If you're working with daily charts, for example, the 50, the 100, and especially also the 200 days moving average, I think are important there, just because a lot of people watch those, and when a lot of traders are watching the same, it's kind of important to maybe not listen always to it, but to kind of have it on your monitor, monitor it. What is the reason for traders to choose scalping? Honestly speaking, I think scalping is so attractive for especially new traders because there's a lot of action, obviously. If it's a wild day, you can potentially have like dozens or even hundreds of entries and exits from trades. And of course, it's a bit like gamification. It's a bit like sitting in front of your console, playing a game, pressing buttons. But it's also, as I just said, the most difficult art. So again, if you're new, I would always start working with daily charts and taking it a little bit easier, and then you kind of work your way down if you really want to do scalping. It can be very hectic, very stressful at times, also can be very boring. I mean, look at this right now. We are really waiting here for the first signals to form. And this is really the daily life of a scalper. You're kind of waiting for things to happen. Where are you guys all from? Somebody joined here, like watching here in the middle of the night at the moment? That's a good question here from Pedro. In your opinion, what pairs are good for scalping? You want everything that has enough liquidity. So where you have volatility, so a good up and down, and you want quite a lot of volatility, not too much volatility, obviously, as well. And so I would recommend in crypto, Bitcoin, US dollar, Ethereum, US dollar. You could also go with Bitcoin versus Ethereum if you want to stay neutral to fiat. Let's put it like this. On the forex markets, I would concentrate on euro, US dollar, British pound, US dollar, dollar yen, which is one of my favorite trading pairs, really. And commodities wise, I chose gold here. You could also go with silver, but gold is by far, of course, the bigger market. I would not go with more exotic things like, let's say, for example, something like US dollar versus South African rand. So that would be, it's those trading pairs are either very flat or super volatile, and everything in forex can be kind of narrowed down to what does the euro, what does the US dollar, what does the pound, what does the yen do. And so don't go with too exotic pairs. I think the same applies for crypto, in my opinion. I wouldn't necessarily trade something like, I don't know, let's say Link US dollar or EOS US dollar. So something that's more down outside of the top 20 of the, according to crypto market cap. So I wouldn't do that. I would really focus on pairs that are more liquid. I can see. So we have Singapore and Thailand. How are you doing? I think that's Frank, right? FX Strategies. How are you doing, Frank? Old colleague of mine. Good to see you. Norway, nice. And I know, Mr. Norway, I saw you had also another a question before that, which I want to answer because I think it's important. Signals you give in Telegram, could you tell it short or long position? Do you never send when you close the position? So first of all, what is very important for those trading insights on Telegram is they are not trading signals. They are meant to put your attentions to charts where prices have reached extremes that they could go into the other direction. Just because there's an arrow on the chart pointing down or an arrow pointing up does not mean you have to sell here or you have to buy here or you have to go short here or you have to go long here. So it's not intended like many other people do, or so-called trading signal services do, that really send you like, okay, you have to buy here, here's your stop loss, here's your take profit, because everybody is different. I know some people who are trading those insights. One guy maybe holds onto a trade for an hour, the other one holds onto it for days. So where to put the correct stop loss there? What I have is I monitor those trades or those insights also for myself to get a general overview, and I'm going to make this also available in the future to kind of give you help. But always do your own analysis. This is really just meant, that's why we call it insights and not alerts, so to say, or signals, to point your head into a direction where there is currently action going on in the chart. Turkey, and one more from Norway. Australia, my God, must be in the... No, what is it now? Okay, it's like 10 p.m. probably for you guys right now, yeah? Depending on where you are in Australia. Good, and we are still waiting. Let's see here if we have something. Okay, yeah, not so good. No. At the moment, not a lot of action, but okay, we are going to stay patient. We don't want to just enter the markets for the sake of clicking. Okay, time for more questions. And what is the best time frame for scalping? I'm using 1 minute here. Normally, I would always opt for a minimum of 5-minute charts, because you can see, especially on Forex, otherwise the amount of pips you try to scalp off a market is in a bad relation to the spread you pay for a trade, or the fees you pay for a trade. So if you really, really want to start scalping, I maybe would start like with 30 minutes or 50-minute charts. It makes things less hectic. You have less trades throughout the day. Usually less trades means better trading. What is your opinion about the Fed? The news Fed will going to pause rate hikes this month. I think we're going to see one more rate hike now in June. I think like 10th or 11th June. I think the next decision is coming, or is it July? I'm not so sure right now. So I think we're going to see one more hike, and that's it then, because we have now reached a level where inflation is lower than the interest rate. Actually, we can have a quick look here at the chart, because it's, I think, a very interesting topic and the most important one. Do I have it here? I need to find the correct chart. That's not the correct one, but it's an interesting one as well. Inflation, interest rate versus inflation. This is the one I was looking for. So you can see it's a bit difficult to see, like, okay, like this is better. So here we have the orange line, inflation of 5% currently. Interest rate environment of 5%. We have inflation at 4.9% last reading. So we've reached what I like to call a terminal interest rate. Normally around this, you would see now, if things work out like in the past, that the interest rate kind of go sideways. So there are a couple of months where the Fed is not going to change anything anymore. And then a new rate cut cycle probably will come. This is why I said this chart is also interesting. So this plateau, I call it, always lasts between 4 and 17 months. And what is interesting, in my opinion, is probably going to coincide very nicely with our this one I was looking for, with the next Bitcoin halving. So I wouldn't be surprised to really see after the next halving a super bull market. That is, of course, if there are no black swan events taking place anymore. Yeah, we are still waiting. No, I am. So I'm not using 10 to 15% of my total assets to scalp. Maybe something like 5%. And you'll later see also, when we enter the first trades, that I'm actually using a leverage below 1 for a reason. Because especially when you scalp, the risk-reward ratio is normally not very attractive for you, especially when we are doing this on the 1-minute chart. So I have to overcompensate this a little bit by using as low leverage as I can. But more on that later. As soon as we get here the first signals, I'll elaborate on that further. The best account to do scalping? Well, I mean, you can just use here your normal PrimeXBT account. I use now with Tether US dollar, but if you prefer doing that with Bitcoin, you can do so as well. So I don't think there's any, we don't need to differentiate here a swing account or a regular account. That's a question I get asked a lot. Was the bottom of Bitcoin at 15,500, 15,650, or will there be another bottom? I think, and I hope this is not the case for you now, Abolas. Pardon me. I think this is due to when we were down there, and I think that was shortly after the collapse of FTX last year. So around the beginning of November, I think it was somewhere there. And nobody wanted to buy. A lot of people were very afraid to buy because so many people, when you read on social media, when you read on the normal news, were writing things like, "Oh, it's going to 10,000, going to 8,000 now," and I back then said, I said also, guys, we could go down to 12,000. I don't know. It's impossible to catch the bottom. That's very, very important, especially when it comes to trading. You are not in 99% of all the times you are not able to catch a bottom, or likewise you are not going to be able to exit at the top. That would really be a coincidence. That's why it's so important to make up your own mind. If you ask me now, and I think I elaborated on this in my last video actually, which is called "A New Bitcoin Bull Market Has Already Started" or something like this. I made my case why I think that we are already in a new crypto bull market. The 18 months prior to a halving are already normally, if I look at the last two cycles, 18 months prior to the halving, were a time where a bottom was formed and then things progressed slowly into the right direction, into a bull market again. Could be different this time. I don't believe it's different, because I also think this new cycle of rate cuts will be also around the time of a halving, and that should pour new money into risk-on assets. Risk-on assets meaning is something like stock, something like crypto, so everything where people are willing to take more risk in for the chance of a higher return on investment as well. Risk off would be something like we've seen now, for example, especially in 2022, where people were selling stocks, buying something like treasury bonds or gold, or keeping just cash. That's also a reason why we saw the US dollar going so strong last year. So we could see still this bottom at 15,500 or lower. It could be that we see this because, and let's see here first. I just want to have an eye here because we see a little bit of price action now on Bitcoin here. So I want to see if we have something forming there in terms of signal. Ideally, would be, by the way, if, for example, we get now a short signal here, that we see the stochastic also here above 80. So that would be an ideal setup. Kind of like we saw this morning. We should have started maybe an hour earlier, when we would have caught those 3 nice trades already. But I'm very sure we're going to see more action today where we can enter trades. Maybe I switch already here to crypto and get my BTC ready. Good. So let's have an eye on this. Maybe potentially there's a short entry moving, because we're also nicely moving away here from the 100 minutes EMA. And this was also the area where we last time saw a swing to the downside again. But let's see. We need to patiently wait there for the first signal. What also can be very often is something like this, where you get like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 signals in a row, indicating, there is probably a turnaround coming. But as I just said, right now, it's also for this type of indicator very rare that you're able to precisely catch a top or bottom. I mean, in this case, it actually worked, but this is the exception, not the rule. So circling back to your question here, Abo, it could be that there's going to be another bottom, but I wouldn't count on it. So if you're long-term into crypto, buy a little bit every, pardon me, every week or every month when you have some leftover money, then you're not going to try to catch up the markets when we really start running. And I'm going to show you a little bit on that later. Anyway, maybe just watch also my last video on this. I think it's like 7 or 8 minutes long only, where I really went into detail why I think that we are already in a new bull market, why I think probably is not going to be another bottom, and why I think that it's important also to not fall for FUD or FOMO here. Chucky asking about accounts again. What do you mean? Like specific or particular account, because I mean, you know, I'm trading, of course, here with PrimeXBT, and there's this US dollar TIFA account now I'm using. What do you mean, like swing trading or short-term trading account? Maybe you could elaborate on that a little bit. I think I do not understand your questions. So let's see here. So the action here at the moment in Ethereum and Bitcoin. Let's see if we get a signal now. That would be nice. How many trades per day for scalpers? Well, that of course depends how many setups there are. There are days where you can have like 100 trades because it's so volatile, and there can be days where you do not get any trades at all, or just a handful of trades. Of course, I hope it's going to be a day where we see more action today, but a lot of is really discipline. Like I know a lot of beginner traders have a problem when you're sitting here waiting, and waiting is really an essential part of trading, not only for scalping, but in general, waiting for the perfect setup. You wait and wait and wait, and somehow over time you get tired, like, oh, there's nothing, I'm just going to enter trade. And we have our first signal here now. But we want to wait. Is it going to stay like this? Bitcoin? Of course, we need to wait for the close of a candle. Candle should close now. No. Okay, let's see if it forms. But I don't know if you guys saw that. There was like a flickering of like we see right now here. So if the market stays around that, we would have a short entry now. This is also so important, to wait really for the close of a candle, because my system here, my signal generator, only works on the closing price, because otherwise you would have a repainting always. But it seems like no, it made up its mind. It doesn't want this trade. Okay, that's the way it is. Looks like it would have worked actually, but we have to stay patient, right? So we are waiting here for more things to happen, or finally some things to happen. Amazing, normally you have like so many signals there within half an hour already, and now we are waiting here patiently. But I said it's going to be open end, so if you want to get yourself a coffee or something, maybe just leave your screen turned on, and I'll tell you what, I'm maybe just going to play an alarm or something when there is a new signal coming. I'll play something like this one. So if you're away from your monitor and you hear that sound, maybe there's action going on, and that I'm going to engage in a trade there. So you don't need to watch all the time. But of course, I'm also happy if you want to chat with me. I saw that, Ozan. Thank you. And I really liked your analysis. Well done. So what Ozan is referring to here is a Udemy trading course that I composed. And you can find the link to that Udemy trading course actually also in the description of this video. So it's about 3 hours of video material where I go through the fundamentals of trading, really starting at explaining the different asset classes, explaining how to approach a chart, how to use TradingView, how to use, of course, also the PrimeXBT trading platform, how I go by if I for the first time analyze an asset, like identifying trends. Markets always move in trends, uptrends, downtrends, or sideways trends, which indicators to use when, how to use if you find how to find a strategy, and when you find the strategy, how to determine, is this a good strategy? Can this strategy actually earn you money by either doing a manual back test, or this is one of the later chapters also, how you can, for example, use ChatGPT to do an automated back test without the need to know anything about coding. And at the moment, about 3 hours of video material. I'm going, since we have already now 150 students there, I'm going to add some more material, for example, also on trading psychology, probably next week. So once you've bought that course, you have, of course, lifetime access to it, and everything in terms of new material that is then added, of course, you can access then also without paying again for the course. Now, yeah, you can see here now, it's kind of interesting, no? Here in Bitcoin, for example, we had the sell error flickering, but the system said on the closing price, this is not a short trade. Market went a little bit down, but could see that we see a rebound now. So hopefully there is something in terms of our first trade for today. Otherwise, it's going to get boring. Interesting, here we see gold now nicely moving down as well. So this could potentially be an area where gold becomes interesting for a very short buy position. A question here from Rishi. Do I pronounce that correctly? If not, my apologies. Are bots better for scalping? And what is the ideal size of trade for a $1,500 account balance on PrimeXBT? I would not use a bot for scalping. I know if you Google something like scalping bots or something, you get like thousands of results on Google. Rest assured that 99.9% of those are scams. Because what people want to do with those bots actually is they want you, and there's very often this offer, if you open an account with broker X, you'll get the bot for free. Why? Because for every trade executed on this broker with the bot, the owner of the bot, or that referred you as a client to the broker, is going to get a commission. So you will usually see that those bots are trading like crazy, because every time they do a trade, they basically from your money, a commission is paid to the creator. So that's the main reason behind this. This is also why I said, for example, for my sniper signal generator guys, first of all, you get it for free. There is no strings attached. I personally don't gain anything from it. If you use it for trading or something, I don't get a commission or something from PrimeXBT. And my mission always is here to take the bullshit out of trading, pardon my English. And we're still waiting here for our first signal. My God. To circle, sorry, I didn't answer your question completely. Do it yourself. Learn it yourself. Don't trust a bot. You can later, if you find your own strategy, first of all, that's something that is very, very satisfying if that happens to you, if you manage to do that. And it's not that difficult, believe me. It takes a lot of work, but it's not like that it's rocket science or something like this. And the ideal size, if you want to live off trading, I think you need something like $300,000. But always depends, of course, also where you are living in the world. If you live like downtown Manhattan, and you have like 10K a month, probably it's not going to get you far. Probably this is what you pay for rent already. If you live, let's say, somewhere in more rural areas, Bali, in Indonesia, somewhere Malaysia, or something, Thailand, since we had Frank here watching from Thailand. And life is going to be a little bit cheaper, but still you can trade, of course, with $1,500, and you should, because you gain experience with it. But don't fall for the illusion that you are going to be able to live off that winnings. But it's a start, because you get experience. You can build up a track record, and if your track record is good, you can always go to people that have a lot of money and tell them, hey, look, this is my track record. This is what I did with trading. And how about you invest a little bit into me? Give me 100K or 200 or 500K. And, you know, then you get like 70% of the winnings and I keep 30 for myself. That's the way to go, in my opinion. And it's so nice that we have the tools to do so nowadays. So, not much action here still. Gold looking kind of interesting now at the moment. But here also, I mean, the stars are a little bit aligned. We are more in an area here where we have those really green, neon green, light green areas here in the danger zones indicator. The stochastic is at almost the lowest low. So let's see, and we are quite far away also from the 100 days, 100 minutes EMA. Price-wise, it's not really far away, but you get what I mean, like the visual distance, so to say. And look at this now. I mean, we're seeing another up move now in Ethereum and Bitcoin as well. I'm going to visualize this here by the Bitcoin chart. So seems like it was actually a wise choice by the sniper signal generator to not produce a sell signal here, that it waited further. Let's see if something is coming back. I think we're approaching here some interesting areas in some charts, on some charts now. S&P 500 also here, but not typically a trade I would take at this time of the day. But let's see if we see something there. I definitely will take the trade. Lompra, Ragnar. Considering the debt ceiling negotiations, would you say that as soon as the bill passes, there will be a risk on market and commodity currencies and risk assets and stocks will rise? I mean, that's the move we've already been seeing the last days, right? We saw after the news came out, I think it was last weekend, no, that who's in McCarthy, no, and Biden, who were discussing, came to an agreement. We saw quite strong risk on moves already on the market, at least in crypto and in stocks. Things are slowing down a little bit. And I mean, to be honest, this is like what, the 25th or 26th time now that the debt ceiling is raised in 2025. So 2 years down the road, we are going to have a new discussion. And again, that's the problem of the USA or of almost all countries worldwide, no, that they have accumulated so much debt, and especially with the higher interest rates now, it's almost impossible to get out of a spiral again. USA are now at almost 130% debt to GDP ratio. So the whole GDP, they have more debt than the whole yearly GDP. It's crazy. And this 130%, by the way, if you look into the history, 9 out of 10 times, eventually countries defaulted on that. And it still can take a lot of time. I don't want to be like somebody, you know, who paints like doom and gloom pictures. There are more than enough people out there. And as I also a couple of weeks ago showed in my video about Harry S. Dent, you know, it's always easy to say, oh, everything is going to crash, and then you miss out on 10 years. Eventually it will, but that still can take a lot of time, because like one of the things I had to learn as a trader, and I had to learn it multiple times the hard way, was, you know, never bet against a central bank. Don't underestimate the power of a central bank. They virtually can print infinite money. And who am I to to go against that with, for example, this 100K trading account I'm using here today? This is the question we had. Mr. Norway, can you repeat what indicators you use? Can I find them on TradingView? No, these are custom-made. I mean, 2 out of the 4 indicators I'm using here are custom-made indicators. So I coded those myself. And just hold on quickly. I want to see. Maybe we are getting something there now soon in terms of signals. So they're custom made. I'm using something here called the Sniper Signal Generator. If I understood you correctly, you are on the Telegram group where I share those trading insights as well already. So that's the one I'm using here as well. The danger zones indicator, those are custom made. You cannot find those on TradingView because I put hundreds of hours of coding and development into those. So of course, I'm not making them publicly available for everybody. I hope you understand that. Maybe that will change in the future, or we'll come up with something how to make those accessible. Other than that, I'm just using a normal stochastic here. Stochastic. So you find this under indicators. And if you search here for stochastic, I modified the stochastic in a way that I'm using those metrics here. So K length 12, smoothing 7, and K smoothing and D smoothing 4. But it's just what appeals to my eye. And then I have here the blue line, exponential moving average with a length of 100 minutes in this case, since we are using today here the minute charts. This is what I'm using here. This is what works for me, but of course there are many ways how to approach. I think the more interesting thing really when it comes to scalping later on is like, how do we handle risk? How do we handle leverage that we don't run into a situation, you know, where one trade potentially blows up our whole account. But for that to visualize, we need an entry first. And I'm eyeing right now here Bitcoin and Ethereum, because again, we've reached here thresholds where potentially we could see a short signal coming in. But let's see. We have to patiently wait here if that really forms a signal or not. Interesting, gold also moving up here. As I said, you know, this potentially could be a turnaround here, and it was. But I mean, we're talking here about $1, $2, $3 of movement here. Of course, it looks always more on a chart, but remember, we are using minute charts here. So also for gold, I actually would prefer something like 5 minutes or 50-minute charts. But we want to see some action. We want to see some signals now. Come on. I was talking to my wife this morning, telling her, you know what, normally whenever I decide I want to do a day of scalping, I always get like more signals than I'm usually able to trade manually. So I have to be a little bit picky. Said by Murphy's Law, probably today is going to be a day where we, for 1 or 2 hours, are not going to see any action at all. But let's see. As I said before, you can, of course, also, you know, maybe turn off on your sound and leave it on. And then once we see a signal, I'm going to is that confirmed here already on Ethereum? Okay, if prices stay like this for the next 30 seconds, we might have our first entry on Ethereum. I will quickly already change here to Ethereum US dollars. And what happened? This is, let me just calculate quickly how much I would buy. 5.4 probably. Yeah, okay, confirmed. So we have a signal here on Ethereum, which I'm going to trade now. Short on Ethereum. I'm going to trade 5.4 Ethereum. Sell. Here we go. Filled at 1,858.49. So finally our first trade here. So let me now elaborate a little bit on position size I was choosing here. Just want to quickly go back, circle back here. Bitcoin still lagging there. Other markets not in zones where we potentially could get signals. All right, good. Finally, first trade going on. So at least we are not going to quit the session today without saying we didn't do any trading, right? Okay, let me elaborate a little bit about position size. You might have noticed here that I choose a position size of 5.4 Ethereum. So that's roughly 10,000 US dollars worth of Ethereum that I was trading. Why only 10,000 US dollars when I have 100K on my account? Because you don't this is part of my risk management. If possible, I don't want to use leverage on a trade. Actually, I'm using obviously below one-to-one leverage here, because what very often is one of my strategies is that I want to scale into the market. Scaling into the market means like something like, for example, this morning where I had where there was a signal for a long position, market moved up, then came down again, then there was another signal for a long position. So I would have bought here 5.4 Ethereum or $10,000 worth of Ethereum here again. So I can slowly scale up my position. Because that's like one of the things, at least in my opinion, when it comes to scalping, and when using a contrarian strategy, like we are doing, contrarian meaning we are trying to catch local highs or local lows, as I elaborated before, but it's normally very unlikely that you manage to get the local high or the local low like really on spot. So I am prepared to scale up my position. Now, when it comes to stop loss, I'm going to leave, and that's the other side of the medal, in my opinion, when it comes to scalping. I'm right now not going to use the stop loss because I'm using a very small position size. But I want to do this ideally, of course, let's say like 20 or 30 or 50 times per day. And then later, those small profits we make with those positions are hopefully going to add up to a day of trading where we can say, okay, we earned good money today that we can live potentially off. But you never know. Of course, eventually, if like things really go very bad, and I would like cut my losses eventually as well. So Bitcoin also preparing for a short here, as it seems. Yeah, so we also have a short signal on Bitcoin. Now, normally it wouldn't make sense, of course, to trade Bitcoin and Ethereum into the same direction because they are pretty much moving in sync. But as I said, we want a little bit of action, of course, today. So what do we have like 10, 28,875, 0.37 we want to trade. 0.37 Bitcoin and short. Here we go. So that makes two open positions now, one in Bitcoin, one in Ethereum. And let's see how the market is going to move. Seeing here also, like I said before, S&P 500 now also making a toppish move here. Interesting, both three, crypto and the indices very often move into the same direction, obviously. In 5 minutes, by the way, we are going to see not the US, the EU inflation data, so that potentially, of course, also could screw up our position a little bit. Also something I normally wouldn't do, like 5 minutes before or 10 minutes before inflation data is released or other important economic data is released. I normally would not engage in a trade because you never know what is going to happen with this data, would stay on the sidelines of the market. But, it's also, I think, a valuable lesson to see if I have a position and I'm going to throw myself into a situation where the outcome might be depending on how that economic data reading is, to kind of see like what does that do with your position. And since we're not trading like super huge sizes in relation to the whole account size, I think it's worth taking the risk to just illustrate how a situation like this is. All right. I mean, we are seeing like some pre-action now anyway on the market. Euro dollar moving a little bit higher. Here, another 5 minutes. Maybe you saw here on Ethereum just now, there was like around this area, an arrow to the downside flashing in. Should that be the case? So let's say here we had this trade at around about 1,858 flashing, and then we get another signal at 1,860. This is like not a trade I would trade again. So in order to really scale into the market, I would like the market to move higher. It doesn't make sense to have like two positions that are just, let's say, $1 or $1.50 apart from each other, of course. Euro dollar also moving. I mean, this is like typical, no? Like lot of traders probably closing their position in anticipation of the inflation data that's coming out. Let's see if we are seeing some really crazy candles here in 5 minutes. For sure, volatility is picking up a little bit again. S&P could potentially show something as well now. Just preparing here a little bit in case the signal holds there. 15 seconds. Is it? Yeah, okay, right. 93. Yeah, all right, good. So short also in the S&P 500. As I said before, ideally I would like trade in American stocks to be done in the afternoon, but let's see, moving a little bit higher now. I hope the data is not totally going to screw up our position. Euro dollar also coming in a little bit toppish now. And we're seeing some candles to the upside. So let's see if we really have to scale into that position maybe. 3 more minutes, then we will see. Okay, that one didn't flash a signal. You can really feel the anticipation of the market now, right? All the institutional traders getting ready for the data release. After the data release, I saw some more questions of you guys. I'm going to answer those questions, of course, but let's focus right now really on the data release. So this is 2 more minutes. My coffee is almost empty as well. So guys, I'm quickly going to fetch myself a coffee and I'll be back in a minute. All right, so almost 11. Here we go. No reaction so far. How's the number? There's no number. We missed I missed. Maybe you saw it, guys. Euro dollar here flashed also a short signal, which I didn't see because I was getting my coffee here. But that's okay. This is sometimes happens. So how was the core inflation? 5.3, so much better than the forecast. Forecast was 5.5%, 5.3%. So that should actually be good for markets, but not seeing really a lot of action here. So it's a bit of a non-event. Also here, I mean, this kind of looks so big, but it's really not. And potentially we can build up on our Bitcoin position again. Yeah, we have another signal here in Bitcoin. So let's go back to crypto, BTC, and sell additionally. So we have 2 Bitcoin positions now. Ethereum is still lagging a bit here behind. S&P 500 coming down a little bit, but I mean, that's not a lot of moves. I could, of course, potentially now try to get into this Euro-US dollar trade, but this is like one thing I do not like to do, if I miss out on a trade, to try to force my way into the trade still again. Don't do that normally. It's okay. There will be more than enough other trades since we are now finally seeing some action here on the market. So let's have an eye on it. There were more questions. I'm going to try to go. Yeah, I saw your question earlier there. Recession in Germany, effects on the markets, asked by Chucky. Well, if I've learned one thing through my 25 years now, it's like that when the news comes out, it's usually too late. So the market, I mean, Germany was in a recession because we had 2 quarters of declining GDP. That's the textbook definition of a recession. But markets do not trade what was in the past. Markets trade what is in the future. And in terms of the German stock market, we can maybe quickly have a look here at the German stock market. Let's go with, what is that? Do we have a DAX index here? Yeah, DAX. Let's take a candlestick chart and daily chart. Like this. I mean, you see here, the German DAX just made a new all-time high a couple of days ago, a week ago. Last week at almost here, what was that? 16,340 points. There was a new all-time high. So if you would have betted on that the recession is negative for the markets, you probably would have done a very bad trade here. So do not trade what is in the past, trade what is in the future. And in my opinion, the future at the moment is that we are going to see countries coming out of recession, and then a new cycle of growth will emerge probably. Good. I mean, of course, like this is of course from a trading standpoint. No, if you are, because of a recession, because the company you're working in maybe is not doing so well at the moment, and you lose your job because of that, that's of course something that's very sad. I can only comment on it from a standpoint as a trader and investor, of course. And just because I see a recession does not mean that I want to sell my risk on assets, because markets are trading the future, not the past. So that would have been maybe the right trade 6 months prior to this, and it actually wasn't, because, as I said, for me, it looks a little bit like we're entering a new phase of bull markets. Yeah, here, that's a good question. Thank you for this. What would be the impact of BTC price employment data? So this is going to become very important tomorrow. We are going to see the so-called US non-farm payrolls tomorrow at 12:30 UTC, 14:30 or 2:30 p.m. CET, Central European Time. This is, of course, going to be very important for the market. Let me close the DAX chart here. Are we potentially seeing here another entry for Bitcoin? We are building up position. Let's see, still 40 seconds, 20 seconds. But that one, as a matter of fact, would be very close to the entry here. Oh, wait, I mean, a couple of dollars. I'm just going to do that for the sake of it, for demonstration purposes. But let's see. 5 more seconds until the candle closes. So what the... Is it closing? Come on. Yeah, confirmed. So one more in Bitcoin. We are building up position. And you can see now, maybe it starts making sense now for you as well, why I choose this just position sizes of 10K and not like throw in 100K into one position size, because I very often need to scale into the market. And by that now, we have already built up a Bitcoin position, short Bitcoin position of 1.11 Bitcoin. So we are slowly getting there. If we count this together now, our leverage probably is at 0.5 at the moment. But it could very well be that we need to further build up on the position sooner or later, although there will be a reaction also to the downside again. Good. Funny enough, in Ethereum, and not much action going on here at the moment, further to the downside, according to the sniper signal generator. Circling back to your question about the impact of the employment data. So non-farm payrolls, US job market report coming out tomorrow. This is going to be very important. This, by the way, is also an event where I would not scalp the markets, because for sure we are going to have a dramatic reaction of the market, especially in Forex, also in crypto and the stocks on the employment data coming out. To be more into detail here. So what the forecast is, this is for May, the data, 190,000 new jobs and an unemployment rate of 3.5%. So that's actually close to everybody who wants a job in the USA currently can get a job. Doesn't mean you can live off it, obviously, but unemployment is very, very low. And this is like the one thing the Fed always wanted. And we had a second Ethereum trade here. Whoa, I almost missed out on that one because I was talking Ethereum US dollar. I could have entered a little bit sooner, but I was talking anyway. So I mean, this is good demonstration, of like how it, like, just being distracted for 3 or 4 seconds and you don't see the signal, or I don't see the signal in my case, can have a price difference of $1, $2, $3, which is a lot for a scalping position already. So markets coming down a little bit into the opposite direction again. I want to wait now, either if we hit here the 100 minutes moving average, I potentially could take some profit there, or if my danger zones indicator goes into the bright green area. But let's see, maybe we're going to see another swing to the upside and add further to the position. Let's see how things are developing there. We are already here in the green territory when it comes to the S&P 500. So let's have an eye on that here. We had some entries in gold also this morning. Seems like this one also finally going now in the direction, but anyway, I didn't trade this because it was before we started this live session. Yeah, and I was again distracted, sorry. Yeah, not economic data, job data in the USA. This is the one thing the Federal Reserve Bank has been eyeing. They would have liked to see a weakened job market, so more people becoming unemployed, because that means people cannot spend so much money. It sounds like, for me, always like very cold, when you see when you hear something like, oh, I hope more people become unemployed, because when they cannot spend so much money, if they cannot spend money, it's going to be good for inflation data, with inflation probably coming down faster. Inflation has been coming down fast anyway, but a weak job market would be a further indicator that the Fed might end its rate hikes in the near future. I think there's still, like I said earlier, going to be one more rate hike that we're going to see to then 5.25%. But I could be wrong also. And that, of course, would be, if we reach this plateau, would be extremely positive for the markets. Good. So if you are scalping tomorrow, maybe you want to stay out of the markets at around the release of that, because it's going to be very, very volatile, especially if the forecast, if the actual number is very far away from the forecast. So if you see something like 250,000 new jobs, or maybe something like only 80,000 new jobs. I mean, a number below that, below 190,000, probably would be positive for the stock markets, which is I know it sounds totally irrational, because the expectation then would be maybe this will lead to the Federal Reserve Bank not hiking interest rates anymore. It's going to be very exciting. Yeah, markets turning around here, going up here again. And we have to patiently wait now until either the markets come down or we go further up and have to further add to our position sizes here. Yeah, this is a good point here. FX strategies by Frank, getting money under management works fine with multiplies. This is exactly, the way to go. Not all of us are, born with a big bank account that you can use for trading. The way to go, and this is the way Frank went, this is the way I went also, is to build up a track record. Where you can show like, hey, I can make money for you by trading the markets. I do this with a good risk management as well. So you have to show also something like, hey, look here, I earned, let's say, 20% last year, and my drawdown was only at 5%. So this is a very positive risk management, a very positive risk reward ratio you are using then. And if you have like data like for a year, better even 2 years of that, there's a high chance that you can actually find people that will give you then money. And you can build up the track record very well, for example, by doing copy trading here on PrimeXBT. If you are a copy trader and you use this copy trading module, and you set up a strategy here and you perform well, you'll automatically here also gain followers that will then invest into your strategy. And yeah, slowly but surely you're going to build up a reputation then and a track record. This is the way to go. And this is diametral, I think is the right word here too, of course, what social media is very often saying, where you hear stories of like, trading and you can get rich very fast. You invest $100 or $250, and then you'll become a millionaire within 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I'm exaggerating now again. This is what we see a lot on social media. We see a lot of people also talking about, the awesome trades they did. But what you're seeing today, we're slowly scaling into the market, later scaling out of the market, is actually the reality. And as you see also the waiting part of it, this is very big. The boring waiting part until you finally get those entries into the markets you are looking for. This is part of the game, and it's not so exciting, right? And it's going to get, of course, later exciting if you are able to close a position with profit then. But that might still take, a couple of minutes, a couple of hours until we are finally there. Let's see. Right now, it seems like the markets want to go up again. Maybe Bitcoin wants to approach 27K again. We'll see that later, and maybe we'll add to our position then. Very good question here from Neros Abot. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. What is the solution when the market goes against the direction of the transaction? Does leverage play a big role, or what is the correct expectation? I think you wanted to ask. Yeah. So my recommendation for anybody completely new to trading is really to always use a stop loss. I'm not setting a good example here today by not doing stop loss. So my approach is different. Because I'm prepared to take multiple positions, my risk management is in having individual smaller positions. But of course, eventually, let's say if the market just continues up now, we see a candle going to 28,000 US dollars. I eventually would cut my losses, obviously. And probably I would cut my losses here if I end up today losing something like 3 or 4% of my account balance. So if we end up here equity wise at, let's say, like 96 or 97,000 US dollars, I probably would say, like, you know what, I'm going to call it a day. Seems like the markets are not performing in my favor, because it also does something to your mind. So this could be a solution, that you set yourself like a monetary target. I'm going to quit trading for that day if I make X amount of money, or I quit when I lose X amount of money. That could be the way. Of course, it's always also possible to do that on an individual position. Say like, okay, I shorted the market now. My stop loss is going to be at 27,050 US dollars or something like this. There are many approaches. None that is right. In general, in the beginning, especially when it comes to scalping, try to keep your position size very, very low. And you can see here already, I mean, we have now built up some positions here, but our position, our total unrealized profit or loss is right now hovering at around 40 US dollars. So that's not a lot, but it can very quickly become a lot. So S&P 500 has hit the 100 minutes exponential moving average. I'm going to close that position now. All righty. Let's go back here. Now I closed one window here accidentally, but you can still see me. Good. Hold on with me here a little bit. What did I do now to this window? Here we go. Just went into the trading history now. You can see the S&P 500 position was closed. $2.80 profit, not a lot. But this, by the end of the day, is you know how it works. If you would have more scaled into this position, of course, the profit would have been higher. But I said, you know, this is also one of the reasons why I said earlier, I don't feel so comfortable trading the S&P 500 at this time of the day when the US markets are not about to open, because it looks good here, you know, it looks like we did everything right, but it ended up with, wow, $2.90 in profit. Later on, when the US markets are open, this is going to look completely different, because the swings to the upside and downside are going to be much, much higher, obviously. Good. Anything else going here on at the moment? No? I need to drink some water, guys. And sorry for coughing all the time here, but it's like I have a flu still a little bit. And ever since Corona, you know, whenever I have a flu, I tend to have like weeks of coughing, really. How's that with you guys? It's like Corona still something people are talking about, and where you are living? Did you have Corona? How did it affect you? Or is it like something to ignore nowadays? Chucky's having a coffee as well. I think I'm lagging behind with answering your questions, yeah. Here, Victor Mendy, what is the reason that traders love scalping? Good question. I think it's the clickety-click action, because it feels a little bit like a computer game where you can press buttons, where, you enter the markets. Potentially, if the volatility is high enough, you can exit your positions very fast again. I think this is what it makes interesting. Or that is like what most people have in their heads. But you can see now the reality, as I'm demonstrating here today, is much, much different. It's a lot of waiting. We've been live now here for 1 hour, 20 minutes. And I think after 50 minutes, the first trades or 45 minutes, we had to wait until we got the first signal. So it's not as interesting and action like as many people are expecting, from my experience at least. Of course, if you are like trading on maybe something like a lower time frame than 1 minute, it might be different, of course, but I wouldn't recommend that really, guys. It's crazy really then. And as you just could see with the S&P 500 trade, this was already on the very cringe and border of a trade that is worthwhile taking. Of course, I could have here compensated that with leverage. Instead of just having a $10,000 position, I could have traded $100,000, but then we would have made $29. So it's really cringe-worthy here already, the risk I'm taking on a trade like this in comparison to the reward. But this is part of the learning process when it comes to scalping as well. Again, as well. So what are the crypto markets now doing? Looks like the Bitcoin is a little bit shy to go to $27,000. Same with Ethereum. Let's maybe see if the market soon will come down a little bit. Again, as you, by the way, here also were seeing in the trading history. So the commission here, this is very important for the commission, that this is normally 0.1% that you pay with PrimeXBT, but now we only pay 0.05% thanks to the promo code I was entering there earlier. If you don't remember the promo code, here it is again. 50% discount on trading fees. If you want to scalp the markets, this is something you definitely should activate. So you can, pay less fees, more money in your pocket. Let's see here. Okay, it seems like the markets are calming down a little bit again. So we can maybe see if there are. Steffen was also asking here, what is the promo code? So the one I was just showing, I'm going to show it again to you. This one here. Academy Live. And Steffen, you go here onto your account. And then you enter it here under promo code. And if you click on activate, then you'll see here down here what you activated. So I can see now I have a fee discount of 50% because of this promo code Academy Live. And this promo code is valid from today until the 8th of June, so 1 week basically. By the way, those promo codes I also share on a monthly basis in my Telegram community. So I have 2 Telegram groups. One is those trading insights that we were talking, where you get like those insights here from the sniper signal generator on hourly charts. So we're not scalping there. It's more of swing trading to turn your head to the charts or the trading pairs where currently is a lot of action going on. And then there is a more general group where I multiple times a week share, like in general, okay, this is my view on the market. This is what is important on the markets for the markets at the moment. For example, we were discussing there also about the impact, or I will later discuss about this, the impact of tomorrow's non-farm payrolls on cryptocurrency prices, on stock prices, on the US dollar VET in relationship to the Fed. So everything, let's put it like this, that's a little bit more complex, because by the end of the day, of course, the markets are very, very complex. We have a gold trader here. So I'd like to ask you about gold US dollar. What's your expectation for the next move? And gold is kind of funny, you know. First of all, I'm not so fond of trading gold, honestly speaking. It's not very often that I have positioning in gold, but it looks a little bit like, and that reminds me a little bit of the time, like 10, 14 years ago, I think it was, where gold also went above 2,000 US dollars and then came crashing down again. As we move, and you know, this is my expectations, as we are slowly entering a new bull phase for the markets, I think gold is becoming more unattractive, honestly speaking. Because why should I put my money then into gold when the better return is probably in risk on assets such as stocks and especially also cryptocurrencies? I'm talking about 2024 now. So I would be surprised, honestly speaking, to see gold establish itself over 2,000 US dollar. And if Peter Schiff would be watching this, he probably would scold me now. But gold in the past has surprised me as well, because somehow it tends to move unexpected, in my opinion. So when we see stock markets going up, sometimes we see gold also going up. It's, of course, because it's like mathematic correlation correlated to the US dollar, if the US dollar is strong or weak at the moment. Near term, I wouldn't be surprised to see gold trying to attack 2,000 US dollars again in the next couple of days. But for me, at 2,000 US dollars, I would rather prefer a short trade, honestly speaking, because you could maybe have a sell limit order where 2,000 US dollars per ounce of gold, and then put a stop loss maybe somewhere at 2,040 or slightly above the last all-time high. Where was that, by the way? Let's have a quick look, since right now we are waiting anyway for the next trade entries or maybe trade exits if crypto comes down a little bit. So I will just open a new chart here quickly, and then we can have a look at gold. Daily, yeah, this area here, no, actually went a little bit higher than in my memory. So somewhere here, let's say 2050. So that would be actually my preferred trade. If I would, it doesn't mean that I'm going to trade it. Of course, it depends also on kind of what the price action is doing when we approach that. Where is my path here? So maybe, you know, something like this here to 2000 and then being reflected there. Excuse my crude drawing skills. So like this. This for me would be potentially an interesting short setup at 2,000 US dollars, stop loss here somewhere above 2,080. Of course, if you have like $80 of stop loss, you want at least 160 US dollars downward moves. Does that fit? So the next support for gold would be in that area. Yeah, it's like $200. So that potentially would be a trade with a good risk reward ratio, because you can about gain 190 US dollars by risking 80 US dollars. So you can earn more than twice of what you're risking. But I could be totally wrong here. Could be that gold spikes through and goes up to 2,100 US dollars. As I said before, I'm not very often trading gold. For reasons, of course, you know, all of us, we always tend to have our preferred assets. For me, it's like Forex options, for example. So with a time horizon of 3 months, where I'm very, very active when it comes to day trading. You can see here the pairs I usually have an eye on. Not much action going on in currencies here at the moment. This entry into euro US dollar, the short entry I missed earlier. Of course, now I could say like, oh, the market is going up now. I could re-enter that, but I don't want to do that. If we miss a trade, you know, we miss a trade. What is swing trading? Is it good for people like me who have less time to watch the markets? Yeah. Great name, by the way, Rock Legend. I also like the little chart you have as your avatar, so to say, here on YouTube. And And yeah, so if you don't have, like me now, hours every day to watch the market, you can obviously see, like, scalping the market means you need to be in front of your screens like 6 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours per day. And it can get very, very tiring. I promise you that. So don't try to scalp the markets if you just don't have the time for that. So if you have a job to attend, you have to work like 8 hours, 10 hours a day, don't try scalping. What you should do then is more concentrate maybe on swing trading, where you have your daily candlestick charts, for example, and then you look for entries or exits there, where you can put on your order in the morning, define your take profit, define your stop loss. For example, just like I demonstrated here with gold just now, I could enter this order, I could shut off my computer then and just, go about my job. If my order gets executed, well, then the platform is automatically going to execute the trade. So easy peasy in that. Only do trade when you have the time. There is no such things as, oh, I'm going to get out my mobile phone, my app, and while I'm traveling on the subway, for example, or sitting on the train or sitting in the car, I'm going to do some trading. And that's not possible, in my opinion. This is, honestly speaking, in my opinion, a recipe for disaster waiting there. And again, a little bit action here on Ethereum. When is the candle closing? 30 seconds. Maybe we can add to our position then. So let's get ready already. No, not here. That ready. This one. Have everything there already punched in. Good. Okay, now it disappeared again. That's why it's so important to wait for the candle close. Let's see if something changes there still. No. Okay, good. Then we are going to continue to wait. Okay, stock market's going a bit lower, and this is, what I said earlier. I took my profit here in the S&P 500 trade now on this 100 minutes moving average. I could have waited as well until we enter a bright green zone here, like for example this here on US dollar yen, this area. My potential profit would have been higher, but I exited the trade a little bit prematurely, maybe there, because I really, really didn't feel comfortable trading the S&P 500 that early and that long before the actual American stock market is opening its gates. Need to drink some more. My mouth is getting dry. Is British pound versus US dollar good for a long position? I assume you're asking this maybe because you currently have a long position. Am I right there? I wouldn't bet on it, to be honest. First of all, I think that the US economy is much stronger than the British economy. I mean, we see in Great Britain the inflation is still above 10%, whereas in the US we are at below 5% already. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, honestly speaking, in the midterm, that is, if we test those areas here at 118, potentially even 110 again in the British pound. Same, by the way, goes for the US dollar, for Euro US dollar, in my opinion. The stronger currency, in my opinion, still is the US dollar. It's also the preferable to trade because you trade into the direction of the interest rate, so to say. Good. Waiting here again. If something happens, it's like interesting that we almost have no action on currencies. Maybe we're getting something here on gold now soon in terms of a trade entry. Has been going up quite strong. Getting something here on Ethereum again. Candle closing in a couple of seconds. Yeah, confirmed. So we are adding to our Ethereum position here a bit. Very active in cryptocurrencies this morning. Good. Gold might become interesting soon. Kind of interesting, actually, that we see the US stocks going a little bit weaker, but cryptos are still holding the line up there. So position size-wise, where are we there at the moment? Let's have a look quickly. 16.2 times 1861, 30K and about 3060, about 62,000 US dollars of position size. So we are still below 1-to-1 leverage right now. I hope that makes sense, you know, that with the smaller position sizes that I'm trading. Oh, spike to the upside here. Interesting. Really established quite a nice upwards trend here. Let's see, maybe Bitcoin also going to attack the 27,000 again. Then we'll further add to the position. Oh, did we just have potentially a trade here in gold? Waiting for the candle to confirm. Yeah. So we go to CFDs, Forex. And we want gold US dollar. And we want to trade how much? 5.1. Good. So another position here in gold. Let's maybe make this one here a bit bigger. Here we go. So currently short Ethereum US dollar with 3 positions, Bitcoin US dollar with 3 positions, and a newly open gold trade also to the downside. Are we getting another? Okay, but this one I'm not here in Ethereum. I'm not trading now because the price is almost the same as it was. There's like just a couple of cents of difference. It doesn't make sense to build up another position there. So what we are getting here is actually quite interesting. You know, there's a trend establishing itself to the upside. Of course, we are trying to pick the local highs and lows here, highs in this case. And you'll very often see that we had this curve not long ago also on the 1 hour chart in US dollar yen, where a lot of signals, short signals were generated. And it took quite some time until the market really also moved to the downside. Right, let's see here. Stock market really could have harvested a little bit more, but you know, that's always the thing, you know, it doesn't bring you anything shedding tears about lost opportunities, so to say. Good. How long have we been online now? 1 hour 40. So let's see when we approach the 2 hour mark. I'm hoping, of course, that I still can do the closing of the trade in crypto, especially live here. If that should not be the case, because in about 20 minutes I have to at least temporarily stop this live stream, what I would do then is I would update you on our Telegram group. Let me see, can I show you that one? Actually, I don't think I can access web Telegram, but what I could do is do a screenshot maybe. Like this. Let me just quickly find, where did I put this picture now? Here we go. So we have, as I said, Academy Live Markets Update Telegram group, and I would, if we are not able to close the trades in the next 19 minutes, I would then later update all the trades also here in this group. So you can also see how did I have to add to the position? Could I eventually close all the position? I think especially for Ethereum and Bitcoin, did I win some money with a trade? Did I lose some money with a trade? Kind of, that you get a feeling, okay, this is not only how they opened the position, this is also how he got out of a position later on, independent of if it's going to end up making me some money or losing me some money. I want to be, of course, as transparent as possible for that. Good. Now, finally seeing some action to the downside here in Ethereum and Bitcoin. But let's see here. I preferably would wait here really for the light greenish area. How is gold looking? Not much movement. In general today, not a very volatile day, in my opinion. I would have liked to see a little bit more action really to both sides. But okay, maybe this afternoon markets are going to have more action. Again, it might also be, of course, because there was on Monday a public holiday in many of the finance centers of this world, especially here in Europe. So probably a lot of traders also have taken the whole week off because they only need to take 4 days of holiday, which then, of course, reduces also volatility and liquidity on the markets. But it's okay. We're going to patiently wait here. As I said, I'm going to be live another 20 minutes now. And then if we were not able to close our trades yet, we are going to I'm going to update you on the Telegram group. Again, link to the Telegram group you find in the description of this video. Let me quickly show you that as well. YouTube. So if you open this here you have a choice here. My personal trading insights, that's the one we're talking about. So the system we are using here today for scalping, but on 1 hour charts. Or here, this is the Trading Academy channel where I would update you. So this one here. That was really weird, hearing myself talking on YouTube while I'm talking to you with a time delay. Inception. Good. The same, of course, here also goes for the gold trade. I'm in general also later going to update you then on more trades that I'm taking today with the scalping method. But I don't want to keep you here online also too long today when there is not so much to say. Do we have any more questions? In the near future, can BTC, Bitcoin, increase beyond 30,000? Well, I'm actually quite certain that it will, honestly speaking, and I'm certain because I think the new bull market already has started. Bitcoin, let me show you the chart. So this one, I was talking about this chart on my last video already. Please check that out. For me, very important, the 18 months prior to the halving always. So this is this blue area here. You can see here prior to 2016, the halving of Bitcoin, 18 months prior to that, a new bull market was forming. Same in 2020. Yeah, still we can have some violent moves also to the downside. So this candle here, for example, was obviously the COVID candle. Same here in 2016. We saw also still like violent ticks to the downside, but you can also see that those usually very quickly mean that people are kind of trying to catch the bottom and a lot of buying action is taking place. So we could see the same here again. Maybe it tick down. Maybe, it's not like set in stone, a little bit of sideways move. And then around the time of the halving, actually, I think we should be here somewhere in the area between 35 and 45,000 US dollars. If the market then after the halving shows the same pattern, kind of the same pattern it showed after the halving 2016, we would have a target of 300,000 or more US dollars for Bitcoin. If the market behaves a little bit like after the halving 2020, the target would be around 100,000 US dollars. To answer your question, I mean, I don't know how you define in the near future or what is in the near future for you, but I'm quite optimistic that first of all, we are already in a bull market, and it's just a matter of time until we see prices north of 30K again. Could still take a while. The more the year progresses until the end of the year, the more likely it will be, in my opinion, that we see prices above 30K. But be aware, there also could be another tick to the downside. That's why I said, if you're in long term for Bitcoin, you might want to kind of have a DCA strategy, where you acquire a little bit of Bitcoin, or if you choose Ethereum, that's okay. Oops, sorry, as well. Every week, every month, whenever you have some spare cash, so to say, that you can create. That you can use. What's the name of the other channel you have? Yeah, there are two channels. So first of all, I believe you're already in the Trading Insight channel, where you get like the trading insights, the trading alerts from this sniper strategy system, because you were asking about this earlier already. And then we have this PXBT, PrimeXBT Trading Academy live market updates. This is like my main channel, actually, where I comment about what is going on in the market, where I try to, like decipher more complex things that are currently going on the market. Also, just go in the description of this video. You'll find all the links you need there. Just click on it, and since you have Telegram already, should lead you to the correct one then there. Now, this is kind of a move I don't very much like here, what is currently going on. This is how you potentially can lose money on trading, also when you scale into, if the uptrend of the market, the mini uptrend we are seeing here, is resolving itself, not by coming a little bit down again, but by going into a sideways trend. This is typical situation where trades then end up losing some money. But it's okay. Honestly speaking, I'm more happy if we have a couple of losing trades today again, but because the educational lesson from that, let me put it, I sound like a teacher, my God, from that is much more valuable for you in the long run. If I end up, by the end of the day saying like, oh, look here, I earned like $400 US or $500 US, everybody will go crazy again, because there are days where you earn money and days where you lose money, especially with scalping. And so be aware of that. There's no such thing that like, oh, I'm going to earn $500 US every day, and that means by the end of the day, let's say I trade 20 days a month, I end up always earning 10K every month, or if you use more leverage, 20K or 30K. It's always an up and down. So have your expectations chosen realistically. Good. 10 more minutes. Euro dollar showing some action here also again. So maybe we have another trade setup coming there. anything else. So if you have more questions, ask them, please. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching a recording of this, by the way, you can, of course, leave your question also on YouTube underneath the in the comment section, and then I'll do my best to answer that. Other than that, you can get in touch directly with me in the classic way by email, academy@primexbt.com. So if you have any questions, just drop me an email. I'll do my best to answer all your questions in a timely manner. Cut me some slack, of course. Sometimes it can take a couple of days until I can answer, but I will definitely answer you. Other than that, of course, if you're on Telegram and a member of our group, you can also directly message me. So you'll find my Telegram handle in the pinned message on Telegram as well, and feel free to make use of that. I usually answer quite quickly. I know with some of you guys, I'm regularly chatting also on Telegram. Lompa Ragnar, for example, was here earlier as well. We always have quite good conversations there, and I try to really answer everything in a timely manner there. So what is going on here? Not much, as it seems. Okay, guys, so I'll tell you what, we are going to end the live stream then for now here. If we should see like super much volatility still on the markets, maybe I would go spontaneous live later again to explain some things. But rest assured, the trades that I open now and the ones that I'm going to open and close throughout the day, I'm going to make that very transparent for you in on the Telegram group. So please join that one to stay updated about how those trades were going for today's scalping session. Markets not as volatile as I would have liked them to be, but we're going to for sure do this in the future again. Have like something like a trading room or something. Let's see how things are going then. One more question I want to answer. It's like I just saw that Alex Barr, I've traded a lot on PrimeXBT. I find the slippage quite large. It's actually interesting that you say that, because as you just saw, I'm also trading a lot, obviously, on PrimeXBT. And I rarely have issues with slippage, actually. Can it be maybe that you have the slippage when there are news events? So like tomorrow, for example, non-farm payrolls being published. Of course, there's a lot of volatility going up and down, and then you will have a lot of slippage also. It's not due to PrimeXBT, honestly speaking. It can also be just the delay between your mouse click and that the order reaches the market, really. There is slippage. If you find like something where you say like here, this is an example where I had extreme slippage, please do me a favor. Write to me under academy@primexbt.com. Maybe include also a screenshot of your position, and then I'll of course forward that to our developers and the head of product to investigate. Is there maybe really a technical issue that causes the slippage, or what was the reason for that? Of course, I'll do my very best then, to kind of shed light on why was the slippage, and should the slippage been there, shouldn't it have been there? Is that a technical issue, or was that just bad luck? Because it's interesting that you say, because in general, I don't experience much slippage on PrimeXBT, especially when I'm trading cryptocurrencies. Good, guys. All right. Thank you for being with me here today. Later, more on Telegram then, how the positions turn out. Also, thank you for all of your questions. And we are going to see each other again very soon. Next week, I'm going to be out with 2 new videos again. If you have not done so already, and if you're still with us here after 2 hours, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, leave us some comments so the algorithm picks up the video and shows those to other people that also might be interested in scalping the markets. Take care, everybody. Going to see you again very soon again. Bye-bye.